Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Byington, and in this video we're going to talk about the origins of Arthurian legend. So Arthurian legend is all that stuff that you've probably heard bits and pieces of before if you're not familiar with that formal title of Arthurian legend. It's all the stuff under that umbrella, stuff like King Arthur, Queen Guinevere, Sir Lancelot, Camelot, the Knights of the Round Table. All of those sorts of things fit into this massive mythology of Arthurian legend. So this really starts as being a sort of an idea, a mythos to galvanize national identity of the British. And this comes from something, and there's more than one, the matter of Britain, and there's also the matter of Rome and the matter of France. And let's say in the case of the matter of Rome, that really points not exclusively, but largely to just one text, the Aeneid. There are other surrounding mythos like that of Romulus and Remus and the she-wolf. All if you're familiar with those stories, that would make the matter of Britain, but that really relies on just the text of the Aeneid. The matter of Britain, however, is comprised of many different appropriations of Arthurian legend. I mean, it's like centuries long, a few centuries long, of different narratives, different characters, and it's in different languages as well. Um, so you can also see maybe that with that word matter, it's not just talking about a thing or stuff like matter, but you can kind of see the mater, like the Latin mater, like your alma mater. So wherever you graduate from, that's your alma mater, right? Um, it's it's also related to the word like maternal. So it's the motherland. It's the thing that gives birth to this new thing. It's the source of the origin of the thing, the idea, whatever it is we're talking about. In this case, we're talking about a national identity, that of the British. So this is all intended to link Britain to the Greek heroic age. And when I say that, I'm talking about things like the city of Troy. You might think of texts like the Iliad, the Odyssey, all of the Greek mythology types of stories. All of that is considered the roots, the alma mater, if you will, of what leads into being or becoming Arthurian legend. So this all starts with someone named Brutus. And just to point back here to the title slide, that's an illustration of him on a coin. So he's often called Brutus or Brute or Brute of Troy. And if you have read the Aeneid, then you know who Aeneas is. He's the main character. He has this whole destiny he must fulfill where he is fleeing the burning, the declining, the fall of Troy. So you've had the 10 years of Trojan War. The Greeks hide in the wooden horse, otherwise known as the Trojan horse. That wooden horse is brought into the city. The Trojans think the war is over and that the Greeks have left, but the Greeks are actually hiding in the horse. They come out in the middle of the night, slaughter the city, burn everything down. You have the destruction of a whole civilization, all the Trojan people, all the Trojan culture is totally decimated, except Aeneas and his son. They escape, and there are variations of this, just like there are with all types of mythology. I was going to say Greek mythology, but really it's all types of mythology around the world. It always depends on exactly the region where it originated, the different types of cults worshiping the different types of Greek gods and goddesses, and so forth. So In a nutshell, though, the most common story you hear about this is that it is a grandson, could be a great grandson, but usually it's the grandson of Aeneas. So his son, who was like described as being kind of like a toddler or something between 2 and 4 years ish old. Um, so Aeneas's son has a son, and when his wife is pregnant with this son, there is a fortune told by a priest slash magician that this son is going to be the most beloved person of Italy. And if you go on to look at what ends up happening, the priest magician person probably just kind of had that conflated with this person will be beloved and always remembered in their country, not specifically Italy, because he actually ends up banned, exiled from Italy because he accidentally shot his father with an arrow and killed him. Um, and just to explain the importance of this family and why something like that, even though it's an accident, that happening is a really big deal. Because, again, if you're familiar with the Aeneid, the whole destiny that Aeneas was supposed to fulfill was to leave Troy. He flees Troy, he escapes as it burns down, and he has to go on to found a city that will be ruled by a people who will be the ancestors of those who go on to found Rome. They will be the ancestors of the Romans, and then you have the majestic Roman Empire, right? And so it's a big deal to um, even accidentally kill someone from this family line. So this Brutus, the son who accidentally shot his father with an arrow, he's exiled and he wanders through what we would know as just the continent of Europe. And then he goes across what we would know as the English Channel. And there he is in Britain. He names it Britain, Britannia, after himself. So the different variations of the spelling of his name, Brutus, Brute, and so on. You get the feminine form of Britannia. So lands were often in that kind of feminine form. Again, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about in this first bullet point here with the matter of Britain. It's like the motherland. So now you have Brutus, who is in Britannia, and he's considered in this is all mythos, all legend. This isn't hard, concrete history. The first king of Britain. You have some uh, history. I'm using this term loosely. Some historical sources that make mention of him and his family and him being the first ruler of Britain. It's described that he founds a place that in its Latin word, it's New Troy, and that those two words eventually are kind of watered down to Londinium, which you can hear in the first half of that is the word London, the name London. So the place that he founds as New Troy is assumed to eventually evolve to this, what we know today as modern London. So the these stories I mentioned a moment ago, they exist in different languages. That's because this empire of the Britons, it's going to there's going to be a lot of talk of them. In actual hard concrete history, you have Julius Caesar who goes and invades and conquers and spreads a Roman Empire on that island of Britain. Um, so people were talking about these stories and they start around, and it's a loose approximations, around 700 AD, which is about 300 years after the fall of the Roman Empire. So you see, when you have that distance of time, how these stories, how these narratives can evolve and they take on this whole new life of their own, and how they don't necessarily match all the historic evidence that we do have today. You know, another good example of that might be something like the Iliad. So we assume that if there really was a Trojan War, that it would have been maybe about 1200 BCE. And then the Iliad is assumed to have been composed about 800 BCE. And so that you see, you have a gap of a few centuries there, and how the telling of the tale could really become more embroidered over time. Same thing probably happened here, that maybe there was some like little ounce of fact to all of this story, everything I'm talking about with the roots of Arthurian legend, but it just blows up with all these different characters and places. Some of your most profound ones. The first one would certainly be Sir Thomas Malory's collection of works. The French poet Chrétien de Thorayer has a large collection of Arthurian legend works. And then there's some pieces by Marie de France. Um, you notice French is one of the languages in which these tales still are extant. Um, you also have a deal of them in Welsh. Now, when if you are a student in my class, we're talking about likely Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, or Marie de France's L'Envol, whatever it is we're covering, or if you happen to just be watching this video because you're learning about Arthurian legend, you can see how the way a character is described in one story is not going to be the same way that they exist, live, behave, and so forth in another story. So, for example, in some situations, Sir Lancelot might be really clean cut, in others, he's having an adulterous affair with Queen Guinevere, the wife of King Arthur. So, that is it for Arthurian legend. Thank you for watching.